Welcome, everybody, to another Oklahoma Archery podcast. I'm David Bosca.
I'm Neil Cooley.
And I'm Aaron Glass.
That's right, folks. We have Aaron Glass on with us today. I'll let Neil tell you all just a little bit about him.
Aaron Glass has been voted 3 years in a row Sexiest Man in Archery. He is the absolute epitome of brand loyal. I can't remember what company he shoots a bow for, but you've probably never seen him not in the yellow and black. He's a semi-pro, means he's a yardage judger for everybody out there not in the ASA crowd. And he shoot a little bit of indoor too. So we wanted to have you on to talk about the dog days of summer, just a little bit of 3D, a little bit of what's happening right now in archery, and just kind of pick your brain on how to navigate a season. You know, we've had a whole bunch of qualifiers this year and just kind of need to know how to survive it. So tell us what you do, tell us what you shoot, what you like and don't like.
Well, if it's not apparent, I am a Mathews guy. I have been since 2001. They make a great product. It's a great company. And you're right. I do shoot a little bit indoor, but it's just because I'm a glutton for punishment. I am through and through a outdoor 3D guy. I love it. I love judging yardage. I love the strategy of the game. I don't have to hit them all to do well. And to me, it's funner. It's been a little bit of a rough year for me. I've had some health stuff going on and haven't been able to make all the shoots I want to get. I actually missed my first Pro-Am in 8 years. I didn't make it to London. Of course, it's the one where one of my good friends makes the shoot down and climbs his way all the way to the podium. It was I was in my living room jumping up and down screaming for him. So
I think a lot of us in Oklahoma were.
Yeah, that was just an awesome thing to see. He's such a good guy, and we just have this core group of guys that we all try to lift each other up and encourage each other, and it's just a really awesome and a blessing to see us starting to succeed and do well. It's just really, that's one of the things I love about archery is just the community itself is hands down some of the best people on the planet.
Well, I'd gone back today and I like to listen to them after they come out just to make sure I sound goofy, make sure nobody said anything they weren't supposed to. But man, I got kind of choked up when he was talking about, the first phone call he made was to his wife and, how she'd always been there for him. And I was like, man, this is not happening. Driving down the road there, couldn't see real good. But yeah, that was a fantastic story. So
he couldn't ask for a more deserving guy to get up there and do what he did. He's put in the work and just talk about
all he
the
had
grind.
to do was get rid of that Mathews. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not going to go that far. To each their own. Nobody's perfect, So
I think it shows you that if you work on yourself, you can succeed with a bow no matter what the sticker on it says.
Exactly. I've said it for years. It's not the bow, it's the guy behind it. I'm the last person to blame a bow for how I shot. And I don't care who it is, especially in the pro class. If you give them a bow, they're going to shoot it good. I don't care what brand it is. Now, there may be some out there that fit a little better than others, but no, that's more of a personality and a personal preference.
Yeah. Well, let's just start out with, okay, you'd said that you haven't been able to hit as many this year as you have in the past, but you have hit every one for, like you said, 8 years in a row nationally. And I'm sure within one or two of them local, statewide and everything.
Yeah.
How does one getting into this sport, how does one get set up? How does one know when they got a setup that can go and compete? And then a little later on, we want it to morph into we're getting halfway through the season, and we'll change from there. But just let's help everyone that's getting into this. How can someone know that what they've got will work?
Well, going to back up a little bit to how I got started back into shooting. I shot as a teenager, competitive 3D archery. Back then in the 90s, it was the Cabela's and ABH circuit. It wasn't ASA. But I was successful there, did well. Then I had to grow up and start working, and it kind of just tapered off. Got married, had some kids, went through an unfortunate divorce. Then I needed something to do with all my time. I was like, well, I can spend it at the bar, or I can spend all my money on bows and arrows and go have fun doing that. So that's what I did, and started back out doing it. And that would be 2012, and just went out with my hunting bow, had a Mathews helium, and just to have fun, make some new friends. And I wasn't going to win or compete. I was going to have a good time. I was going to get ready for deer season. I was going to get out of the house. Now 13, 14, it started progressing. I won out of Open C, Open B, got to Open A. At that time, I'm full-fledged target equipment. And there's no real like spot to say, okay, here now I know I can compete, because we have the archer's disease to where I went out and shot the best score of my life, and I'm going to go home and tear my bow apart and start over again.
Yes.
So I don't know how many guys, and myself included, I've seen do that, and it's an archery disease. We're always seeking that perfection, that unattainable perfection. But the biggest part of it is just the friendships I made, and it just kind of morphed into a group of guys that, hey, let's hit every qualifier in the state. Did that for several years. And, hey, look, we're going to throw in 2 or 3 pro-ams. And okay, now we're going to do them all this year. And then it came to where, okay, we're going to win out of this class, and we want to be pros. And well, 2 of my very good friends have made it there, and I'm kind of lagging behind, but I'll get there eventually.
We're saving the best for last.
Great things come in small packages. That's why I'm so short.
I mean, we're just letting you sandbag one more year just to keep everybody else.
Yeah.
How you gonna educate all our buddies like Kyle Anderson down there and Ronnie Plummer and semi-pro? If we take all the best and the talent leaves, I mean, who's gonna learn the kids up?
Well, Kyle's progressing so fast. I think he has got a lot of natural talent. He's got a lot of he loves to compete, and I don't think it'll be long, and he'll be out. He'll be up in pro too. It won't be long at all. Ronnie is along the same vein. It's another archer's disease. I mean, if we could get out of our own way, we would already be pro.
So when you decided to spend so much time doing this, and you said you got back into it for hunting, did you quit spending so much money on hunting leases and land and tree stands and all that, and you just went, I'm going to spend my extra cash on the travels?
Oh, no. All of it went up. More land, more stands, more feeders, more corn, more feed, everything. And then more arrows. So, and then you got to spend all the money on the mounts and all that fun stuff too. But that's the good stuff. That's the other part, is I love being outside. Anything I can do outside is a good day.
So you're saying you don't have to give that up?
No. That's shooting indoors. That's my biggest deal, is I get bored and then make mistakes. I'll be on the line at full draw listening to a conversation behind me, so because I'm bored. But yeah, it's for me, indoors is just it's a mental whip to get in there and concentrate and make it all happen.
Indoor's a struggle, but by the time indoor rolls around, you've usually killed your target deer. So everybody out there, 3D runs through the end of July. 1st of August, it's pretty much wrapped up. You get one hunting extravaganza in August at the G2 range, Ryan and Chris. You get another one a month later, September 14th and 15th at Enid. It's where our qualifier is this weekend if anybody wants to see it. And then you get the State 900 in early September. And then that's Oklahoma's OSAA. And then there's not much in October, November. You know, it's kind of everybody, it gives you time to miss all your buddies because not a lot of them shoot that skinny air stuff except for me and Dave. Previously just me. So you get a couple months break, but by the time December, January rolls around, you're usually probably shooting your 3D bow, if I'm not mistaken. You don't switch to an indoor bow.
So the last 2 years, I've actually I switched to indoor bows, went down in poundage, and it actually, I think it hurt me. That was because so my goal shoot for indoors is Vegas. So all my prep for indoor is to get to Vegas, do well in Vegas. Then 2 weeks or a week later, we're in Foley, Alabama shooting outdoors. The transition from Vegas to Foley, trying to run two bows was difficult for me. So this year, or this next indoor season, I'm going to be run just like I used to and run my 70-pound 3D bow indoors.
Gosh, that's a man bow right there, buddy.
Everybody, I've heard a lot of guys say that the best scores I've ever shot indoors, I've done with a 70 to 71 pound bow. For me, I've done it so long, it feels odd. I have to relearn a lot of things in the way to get it to hold and get it to aim than to just stay with what I'm comfortable with. Yep.
I get it. Well, it's June right now. The heat's coming on. I could say you've met the hump on outdoor 3D season, especially if it's going to end July and August. Where would you want to be, and how would you read your scores and your shooting from the past this year to try to make changes for the last hoorah? What do you normally do?
So, being a judger, my practice with judging is you have to almost practice more judging than you do your shooting. I practice just as much. Now, I don't get to practice like I used to. I don't have a full-fledged practice range. I have 18 targets in my backyard at multiple ranges. But for me, I'm transitioning from a ground judger to a sight judger. So I get out in the yard and I just, how far is that target? Just let's look at it. Don't look at the ground. Just look at it. How far is the target? My reason for that is just you can't always trust the ground. Ryan Thomas's shoot just last weekend is a perfect example of that. You get a target that's got 3 drainages in between you and the target. It's really hard to judge across the ground. So for me, and I take notes. I'm try to be as religious as I can about getting data about how I'm judging, how I judge target. And then it's just looking back on those notes. How am I tending to do the lynx right now? How am I tending to do Wolverine? And making mental notes of that, make adjustments for that. Like the javelina for me, and it has been for the last 3 years, is judge it, add 2 yards, and I'll either 12 it or hit it in the IBO. So it's just things like that, knowing your tendencies, and then just
paying attention to them.
Yeah, paying attention, making good decisions. Decisions have taken me out of more wins than anything. Just not doing what I know I should do, just being either nervous or scared of it.
Well, how do you practice yardage judging when you were doing ground judging? Because when I shot 3D, that's what I did. I was ground judging. And I bet most people start that way. So,
Yeah.
how did you go about practicing yardage judging?
So when I got back into it, I bought me a rangefinder, and I would just walk around. I carried it with me a lot, and if I'd be at work walking across the construction site, how far is that dumpster, and how far is that porta potty, and then I'd zap it. No, I was within it so much.
Yeah.
How many batteries a year did you go through on a rangefinder?
A lot. For a rangefinder, which normally lasts a normal person a couple of years, I would go through 2 or 3 a year. I went through enough that I carried a box of them in my stool.
I was going to say, I try to keep one on me all the time, but I'm usually got my stuff in my car, and those batteries don't do so good in the heat. So do yourself a favor, go to Sam's Club, put 2 in your stool, 2 in your quiver, 2 in your bow case, 2 in your truck, 1 in your pocket, kind of thing. Because I had one die on me at the Am down in Paris, and I was already pretty much admitting defeat at that point. And it's like, hey, Cliff, tell me the range on that, 40 something. All right. wasn't real concerned, but you always notice these people that shoot known first 5 or 10 targets, they're saying everybody in their group, they'll laze it. What'd you get? They want to know who's dead on with them, who's a yard hot, who's 2 yards hot or cold. So, I mean, for you, that's not a problem. I got the biggest kick out of going down there to help Ryan drag those targets out before he said it. He goes, yeah, I was going to set the stakes today, but I didn't bring my rangefinder. I'm like, well, what the heck do you need it for?
When we were judging and trying to learn, I myself, mine was a cut off extension cord because that's just what I had. But it was a 20 yard, it was a 60 footer. And I drug that through the trees in the woods at my place. And that's how I got to seeing ups and downs, and there's the end of it. And I used just that a 20 yard. I heard guys using ropes and different things, but that way it kind of taught me the little crevices and the valleys and how deep and how far past it. And I was the kind that I did the 10 to 20. Then I would try to double it, and is that within 40 or out of 40? And then I would try to make my change error. Have you done stuff like that too?
So, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, Art Brown gave me an idea, and he was selling those little sticks that were just bristles, like 8 or 10 bristles, look like off a broom or something, all different colors. Well, I got red ones, and I went through my yard, and from the target, put one at 5 yards, put one at 10, all the way out to 70 yards. That way anywhere I could stand, I'd be like, so that's what 35 looks like. And across the ground, that's what 35 yards across the ground looks like. Then the other was, I got some advice from a pro, is have an absolute, like my absolute is 35 yards, because I step out my back door, take 2 steps away from the door and shoot my targets. It's 35 yards. I know what 35 yards is because that's where I do all my, like when I'm tweaking the bow and I need to see how that feels, I step out and do it 35 yards. So I know that yardage. That is, I can pick that out of a lineup on about any target. Now, not as good all the time with what's past that 35, but that way I can go, okay, that's 35. Now how far do I got to go to get the rest of the way? So that was always a good one there. But and the references across the ground, that was a really big. First time I did that, I podiumed at the next national event. That was in my open A year. Sorry.
What's the max yardage on that?
50 yards.
Okay.
Yeah, open A was 50 yards, which was kind of odd because in the judging classes they had open C, open B, open A, semi, then pro. But they've now basically done away with open A, and now they just call it open 40 and open 45, and then semi-pro. Yeah.
Well,
It's a much different beast.
Even
when I got started back then, open sea was a half and half class. So you shot your first 10 targets unknown, your last 10 targets were known.
I think I remember hearing that. Yeah.
That was a little different. I kind of liked it because it gave me the like a taste of both. Especially for people coming into the sport, it's great because you get a taste of both. Because a lot of people get nervous and they just I don't want to judge, so I'm just going to go to known, and then they go over there and feel like, well, you go to known 40, you got to shoot 60 up to even be in the top 10. It's demoralizing for a lot of people. But if you have that half and half class, they get a little bit of taste of both, and then they can make a decision. Okay, I want to go this way. I want to go that way. I kind of wish they'd bring that back, but I don't know if they ever will.
Do you do something special to your equipment, or are you into just a fast arrow, touch the speed limits?
At my draw length, fast arrow is a relative term.
Okay.
I have a 26.5-inch draw length. So for me to get to my speed limit in my class is 290 with a 2% variable, which would be 299. It's everything I can do to get there. And then I got buddies like Chris Hammond that has to throw 60 grains in his arrow to get it to slow down. So I wish I could buy their draw length, but I can't.
Yeah.
I do a lot of, for me, it's all about the feel and not so much in draw cycle, but in aiming. We're nice, slow, just controllable float. So I'll mess with cam timings. I'll mess with anything that will move on the bow. I'll at least try it. And then if it doesn't work, I just put it back. Again, with my bow setups, I'm very meticulous about notes. So if I do find something that works, I can go back to it. I can say, oh, this is how I had it set up then when it was shooting really good. I can just put everything right back.
I will tell you, I purchased, it's not come in yet, but I'm going to play with that Mantis. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, do you? Yeah. Well, educate me. Tell me, how have you used it, or have you used it?
So I've had it for quite a while. I got it when they first came out. When they first showed up at the Pro-Ams. Actually, their first Pro-Am, I bought one. I only really used it at that time for stabilizer setups because you could visually see on a graph how steady and how small the aim pattern was. So I would use it, set up my bars, and then I'd take it off and I'd forget about it the rest of the year. Now, Mathews did come out with the Shot Sense this year, very similar. The biggest difference is it actually gives you a score that says, okay, this shot scored 78, or this shot scored a 92. It's in a scale of 100.
Well, reading and watching the newer Mantis downloads, there is a deal very similar to what you're talking about. You get a steady percentage, like a 97% hold. You get, and what you're talking about is what I'm going to look at using it for. So it's interesting to hear that's what you looked at it for also. I can play with it that way. Draw lengths. You can put targets behind it and see what it would have hit, or mark where you did hit, I should say.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Glad to hear that you'd used it too.
I actually used my Shot Sense this year in Vegas because if you've never been to Vegas and you want to learn or compete in archery, go to Vegas. That is one of the best learning experiences of my life, is how to deal with nerves is Vegas. There's nothing like this in for score. And you could hear a pin drop and there's 600 people in this room right up till the first arrow fires. And then so I used it there to see the difference in the way I'm holding and the way I'm aiming throughout a very stressful round, what I'm considering a stressful round. And then I can go back and compare, okay, this first three ends I was puckered, The middle set of ends, I was doing okay, and then the last end, I was really puckered. And then I can just look at that and just see was my hole this big or was it this big? what where did it? What was it doing? And you'll be able to do the same thing with the Mathews, but something that Chris Hammond pointed me out to is wasted time in your shot process. And he pointed it out that where you'll come in, because I'm going to come from the top, drop in, hold, fire. I didn't even realize how far I would go under and then have to work my way back up. And that working that way back up, I'd waste 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. But if you got a 8 to 10 second hold time, you're wasting 20% of your shot. So that is, if you can get it to just, okay, I'm going to work down instead of go under and come back up. That's 2 more seconds of good aiming time that you have.
Good points. Yeah.
That sounds good. Oxygen in the eyes and in the muscles before everything goes bouncing, skidding, shaking, and
Yeah.
Chris is a pretty smart dude.
Yeah, he is.
I get a lot of stuff out of him, and we talk almost every day. I consider him one of my best friends. So
yeah,
he's a really awesome guy.
How do you talk to him?
On the phone. Normally he calls me when he's going to the gym or he's in the gym.
There you go.
Yeah, I like it when he's in the gym because he's throwing those weights around. I get a lot of words out then.
Chris would be the guy. He would be the guy on the bench press having a full-on conversation with somebody. That's
the guy, and he doesn't even sound winded. That's the part that makes me feel bad. I'm like short and fat, and then I got this guy who's tall and ripped, and he's in a full mode workout and not even winded.
Yeah. We'll have to post the meme we sent around of him after not seeing him on whatever Sunday, I guess it was. We went back to like 2006 and found vintage Chris and photoshopped him onto a milk cart and said, "If found, please call Aaron Glass at 918." We'll put that one. We'll put it down.
Fell over. Yeah, it's he's my one of my core buddies. We travel together. We've traveled all the national stuff for years together. He's the reason I call myself, I'm a professional umbrella man and semi-professional archer.
Well, we've been 27 minutes into this, Aaron, and we have neglected to ask a very important question. Tell us about your setup. We don't even know what you're shooting.
So it depends on the flavor of the day.
Okay.
I have a Title 36, 70 pounds. I'm actually running the new Mathews Ridgelock target bars. I quite enjoy those. They're a different system. It's pretty neat. True Ball XL sights and releases. I run a Shrewd Optum scope.
35 or 40?
40, actually. Well, again, flavor of the day. My Title has the 35 and my Title has the 35. The what's the name of it? Yeah, the Lift. Yeah, I had to think about it for a second. The Lift has the 40.
You shoot a 7 or 8 power scope?
Oh goodness, no, I don't have that much. I shoot a 5 power doublet lens. Really do like the doublets. It's a nice lens. Easton arrows, and I can't think of anything else. I'm sure I'm leaving something out. Can't think of it though.
You a 3 or 4 fletch man?
Well, for years I've been a 4 fletch guy. I found it I did a lot of testing a couple years ago with the different veins and when it comes to arrow builds, I am probably one of the most anal retentive people you'll ever meet. It takes me a week to build a dozen arrows. So I built a bunch of different arrows with a bunch of different vein setups, and I put my iPad on the tripod in between the target and where I was shooting from at 70 yards, just to hear them fly by. because when you're hunting, the deer's not jumping your bow, jumping that arrow that's screaming at him. And if you can get a quiet arrow in flight, you're doing pretty good. So I'm a 4-fletch tack guy. Tack was hands down the quietest vein out of all of my tests. I tested the SK2s, flex fletch, vein tack, boning. There were some others. I had a lot of veins tested that year. But and then the 4-fletch, I found that I could run a shorter vein with 4-fletch, and it's even quieter. And so, yeah, I'm a 4-fletch guy for sure.
You said Easton Air Super Drive World?
So I'm running the Super Drive 25s for all my 3D stuff. I got actually this year got the competition archery points, the one that the Jesse.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the real long black points. They're pretty slick. You don't kick out as much. You really don't. When you crush someone's bushing, it does not deflect as much.
The ballistics.
Ballistics, yes, that's what they call it.
Yes.
And then I run the kick out bushings on them, and I will attest those do kick people far. I like that. It makes them think twice about aiming at your arrow.
That's the Easton makes those, though, right?
Yes, yeah, Easton makes those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably one of the neatest things that I've seen come out in a while that will really make someone think twice about shooting at your bushing.
So if you're a fellow that runs a black arrow, black knock, and black veins, you're pretty much qualified to shoot the 90-degree bushing. Or do you got to put a little color on them to pull that bushing off?
I'm not a let me think of a politically correct way to say this. A dickhead with my arrows. I found that normally, because I used to always run like the bright green knocks, big fluorescent veins. In the lower classes, if you gave them something really bright to shoot at, they'd normally miss it. But then I tried blackout arrows. I got more blackout arrows crushed and broke than I ever did my big bright ones. So I was like, well, if I want to be able to see it too when I'm at the stake, so I'm going to run the big bright one. So, yeah, it gets a little different when you get up in the higher classes. It's a lot of those guys, if you give them something to shoot at, they're probably going to hit it. So.
It just gives a different term to playing defense. Like everybody knows you're going to put the arrow in the 12. Everybody knows 3 or 4 guys got to shoot at it after you. That's part of the game. I have trouble aiming at lighter colored arrows, especially if they're green, because that's what my pin is. So I shot all summer with Sean Dyke and his green knocks, and he just dotted every 12. And I got to the end of the summer, I'm like, if I have to shoot with him at state this year, because we're in the same division, I might be in trouble. I switched to blue fiber just because of shooting with Olsine Dishi. And so I carry green and red. And I say, if you got a green one, I'll shoot the red ones if it's going to bug you. But I also got a black one just because sometimes being invisible is how I like my targets. If I could shoot them without an arrow in it at first every time, I'd have a lot better success because I don't aim off an arrow good. They're bright, they're in the way, and they draw your eyes. When the shot fires, follows where your eyes go. So those bright ones. But I was kind of curious on those 90-degree Easton bushings because that's big time kicking people out. And if they shoot better, well, you got every reason in the world to shoot those bushings because they shoot the best. But if it's the same as a pin bushing or the same as a standard bushing,
it's like a GTO type bushing. Mm-hmm. It's an insert bushing. So the other advantage to it is that it is a thicker, it's heavier. It's almost a solid piece of aluminum. So when like the gold tip bushings or your standard bushing, you hit that, you crease it, it's going to bend that hole. You hit that, it's not bent. It looks ugly because it's got a big gouge down the side of it, but it's going to should still hit the same spot. They are more durable in that aspect. It's not going to bend to where now your knock's out of alignment, not coming off the string. So,
gotcha. It's more structurally sound.
It is. The only bad part is that with it being more of a meat there, if they hit it just right, it's going to hang it and it's going to roll the whole bushing out the side of the arrow. Yeah, so that's the only bad part about it. But I've only had that happen once this year. I've heard it from a couple other guys, but no, it's.
So
I've had way more Robin Hooded shooting other bushings than I ever have with these. So.
Yeah, I'm one of the few out there that's not shooting a pin bushing just because people usually aren't aiming at an arrow that's in a 5 of an animal somewhere.
I know you can shoot better than that. I've seen it. At least 1 or 2 shots around.
Yeah. No nickels on Sunday. Had one on Saturday, but it's a whole new game out there shooting the button. Had about 17 good ones and 3 I wish I had back, but it's been a whole 8 days since I switched over, so what we need you to do, Aaron, is coach us as the season goes on for ASA. What should guys be using as an excuse by June? That's what we need to know, because we got people out here. I mean, Ryan set a range and people blanked 2 targets on it. I mean, and they thought they were good at archery when they rolled up to the parking lot that morning.
Yeah, I thought I was pretty good when I got to Ryan's too, and then I shot the turkey in the head.
Well, that's
behind the pin. I shot him behind I watched the arrow in flight. It flew exactly where the pin was at. But that lane was so tough to see down that lane, and the way he set the target. The color change of the head, I thought, was the color change of the bottom of the core. Because there was just a touch of sunlight on the bottom of that core. And it just gave, about an inch wide little band. I was like, oh, there it is. And that shot, I broke a good shot, and I was like, that's not it. And I threw my binoculars up. I was like, Ryan, I just shot him in the head. If it had been a guillotine broadhead, his head would have been laying next to him on the ground. It was a tremendously good range. That is the type of range I love. It was challenging. If you weren't on your game, you were going to have a bad day. It's plain and simple. And if you're not out there to better yourself, either as a hunter or as a competitor, what are we doing? So I commend him for making a range like that. I thought it was great. I did tell him that from now on, that's where we're going to practice for London.
Yeah. I mean, I saw small kids crying. I saw old kids crying. I saw adults crying at the end of this course. I mean, it was – I told him par was 4 down, and that's what I ended up at from the White State. I had a few get away from me, had a few bad spots, a couple out the bottom, and got real weak at the end. But, I mean, it was – if judging it would have been pretty tricky.
Yeah, it was tricky. I actually judged it really well. So that's another thing I do. He asked about the practicing and for judging and things like that. I just remembered this. So when I go to a lot of the qualifiers right now, I'm not actually signing up. I'm just shooting a fun round. So I'll shoot them But so I'll go up, I'll judge, find my number, then I'll zap it. Then I try to figure out where, if I missed it, I'm trying to figure out where I missed it with a target in front of me. It's a lot easier that way to try to work out what I'm doing wrong when I'm in the situation. I'm not trying to rethink it back at the truck. And then I shoot it So now I know, because in most of our places, we're going to have, just like Ryan's, we had a 22-yard deer all the way up to a 51-yard javelina. I got to use my whole competitive part of my sight tape. I know my sight tape's on. If I break that shot and I'm consistently high or consistently low, I know I need to work on my sight tape a little bit, or I need to work on something. That for me is just, it gives me a lot of confidence in my equipment that, okay, now I know my tape's perfect, the bow's hitting good, everything's going right. And then, of course, if I'm judging well, I can go back to my notes and say, hey, this would have been a really good day judging. So
starting out the year, first tournament, you go home, you're like, I couldn't see half of them. You're going to either start looking at your glass or your pen. that's in it.
Yeah.
Well,
normally peep adapter or power on my lens.
Good one. That's right. After that, you're going to start paying attention a little bit more critical on arrow. Am I dropping too much? Am I left or right? You're going to actually start paying attention to the flight of the arrow. And all in all, throughout to this point, you've fine-tuned your rest to the way you're shooting. You've got your peep, your sight, everything's right. Now to finish out the year, all you're doing is working on you and how that bow and setup is working for you in judging 3D.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Good.
90% of unknown archery is right here. It's keeping my head in the right place, making good decisions. That's something that Chris drove into me. It's just go out, have fun, make good decisions. Because in the judging game, so if I have a tendency, like I said, to javelina, it's judge it, add 2. I'm not in the pro class. I don't have to shoot 18 to 28 up to get to the big show. I just need to get to the podium. And in semi-pro, if I'm 6 to 10, I'm probably there at the pro-am level. So for me, it's stay in the 10 ring, clip as many 12s as I can. But if I get in there and then I get nervous, and Ryan hit on this a little bit, so I'll just start adding numbers. And the next thing you know, I'm shooting 8s tall because I'm scared of putting on what I really think it is. So it's making bad decisions. I'm not thinking my process through. I have a process, and I have to stay to that process.
So
that's what got you to go ahead.
You're shooting more of a safe number compared to, as Ryan calls it, a gotta have it number.
Well, there are stages that I'll get at a national level that where it's, okay, I only got 5 targets left for the weekend. I know we've all shot together enough. I know most of the guys. The rumors get around the range really fast at a pro-am that who's doing good, who's fell off. And you have a pretty good idea where you need to be. And if I'm within a couple points, I'm probably going to go, okay, I'm going to be aggressive. Now, I've had that aggressive number bite me, and I've had that aggressive number get me home. If you can ask Chris Hammond, or Ryan or Kyle or anybody that I run with, I am the king of 16th inch out. Like we shot the state I can't remember if it was a state championship or just a qualifier. It was at Catchers a few years ago, at Bobby Catchers, and 5 targets in a row from the stake. They're like, you got it, perfect, great shot, man, got it. We got down there, 1/8 inch out the top of an upper, 8, 1/8 inch out of the bottom of the lower, 8, and on 5 targets in a row. And I'm like, I couldn't have made a better shot. It was a really good number. It was just, I'm the king. I just don't catch them. And then you got the time when I won Foley 3 years ago. All those that I normally would not catch, I caught. I shot 18 up for the weekend, and second place was 5 up.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah.
Talk about getting sticky.
It was a good weekend, and that was a big year for me. Me and Chris worked through the off season, just a lot of mental stuff, how to deal with myself on the range. You've shot around me. Everybody knows me. I'm the funny guy, trying to make jokes and lighten the mood for everybody.
Trying to stand on a rock to watch Levi shoot his last arrow.
I wasn't competing then. I'm just gonna say I was not competing there.
I obviously wasn't around. You got to tell me this story.
So it's day 2 in Foley, and I go to the pro range just to see Chris, see my buddies. I walk by and I talk to Levi, and I step back. Well, he's like 6'100", and I can't see over anything. There's a rock about that big, probably 6 to 8 inches around. I'm like, I step back and I step on that rock, and I'm got my glass up and I'm looking, and Levi turns around after shooting, and I say, "Hey, Levi, is this what it feels like to be tall?" And he goes, "You're still gonna have to jump to get up to my level." And all I did is I just kind of bounced, and that rock shot out from under me all the way across the lane, and I go flat on my back. There's arrows. I still have my quiver on. My bow's at the head of the range because I'm not shooting. So arrows go everywhere. My releases fall out of my pouches. And at first, the first thing that went through my mind, because this is like the final 3 targets of the 40 target weekend, I'm like, I just ruined somebody's weekend. They sent one through the woods because I fell on my back. And thankfully, that did not happen. And Levi runs over, he grabs me by the arm, starts lifting me up, and I kind of slip back down. And Chris said he was able to contain his laughter right up to the point he's seen my legs in the air doing that. And I could hear him on the other side of the lane. He's like a target back from Levi, just dies laughing. And I'm like, oh God, Chris seen it too. I was so embarrassed. But, I mean, it takes a lot more than that to run me off the range. So I went ahead and stayed the rest of the 3 targets just because he made the shoot down. So,
You own it, didn't you? You owned it.
I owned every bit of it. I even told him, I said, I've done way more embarrassing stuff than that in public. So
I heard Bryn tell the story, and I thought we were going to have to get him a breathing assistant machine because he was dying about. Chris Hammond said, my little buddy's feet was in the air. It was a good thing there. It made the rounds all the way back to Oklahoma before you guys ever got back. So
it went through that range like wildfire. I had people coming up that were at the other end going, I missed it. I just wanted to let you know, I wish I'd have been there. People on my range, because at Foley this year, it was we were walking by the pros day 2 range on the way to my day 2 range. And I shoot in like an hour after they finish. So I was like, well, I'll just go early and go conversate with them, and then I'll mingle the rest of the way over there. And by the time I got to my stake on the range, they were already talking about it. And the first thing they said, and then they're like trying to get Cam to follow me around just to see if I'll do it again.
I was going to say, they got that stone painted in white and call it the Aaron Glass stone.
I'm really glad that the Cam wasn't on that part of the range. They were on the range, but they were on the other end. And I'm really glad they weren't on my end because I would have been in the highlight reel.
You got to go back there next year and take a picture with that rock and leave.
Oh, it's gone. I threw it so far into the woods.
I've also thrown some rocks before, usually after using them to flatten out my footing. And, good luck everybody after me because I'm sending it 15 yards down the hill. It's a game of strategy we play.
But see, I complain about that because it's not so much the rocks as either the guys will get in there with their heels and they'll dig a hole. I'm like, guys, I'm already 5'5". Don't dig a hole for me to stand in. I'm already short enough. Quit it.
So in my case, I have to call a range official over because there's a twig 7 foot tall in the way. Have you ever had to call in for a load of gravel?
Yeah. I've had many ranges where I'll have to aim at grass to get
because it's just in that hump, right?
Yeah, it's in that hump, and there's no way I'll be able to see it. Yeah, and I actually checked this, and I went to the booth a few years ago and checked this in the rules for my vertically challenged friends. For all my other vertically challenged friends, it is perfectly legal to stand at the stake while you're judging and stand on your stool, so you can see over the hump. I actually had guys try to get on to me and say that that's not legal. It's very legal. You can do it all day long.
So anybody can do that, even vertically challenged people as myself.
Yeah. Oh,
what?
You may get altitude sickness from that.
Well,
if you get on the stool, I'm telling you.
We'll have PJ and the cameras ready for the next time that gets attempted.
Yeah. It got all the way back around to them too, and we were at the next pro-am, and it got brought up to him, and I'm standing there, and Chris goes, "It was him." Or, no, I don't think it was Chris. It was somebody else. I don't know who it was. Somebody. They just turned around and went, "Yeah, that guy right there, the short one right there."
We were giving PJ some grief this week. Our buddy Dylan Foster made us a video, the Oklahoma shot of the week down there with Ryan.
Yep.
First thing I did is tag PJ in it, say, "Hey, imitation is the highest form of flattery," but
y'all did pick the hardest target out there to do it on. Whew.
Yeah, it was that same turkey you're talking about. So if anybody wants to go see what that headshot was all about, go check out the video on Dylan. I think it's on the ASA Facebook as well. We shared it around a little bit, but I thought that was cool idea he had. Why not make us one?
No, I love it. Yeah, and I love it that he's getting around to more guys now. It's not just. Don't get me wrong. I liked it like with the years he did it with just Dan the whole season, but this year he's doing it. It's like a different person every time, and I'm really enjoying that. You get the different personalities of everybody. So I think Cam has been a really good thing for our sport, being able to just share really high quality pictures, because they're taking pictures of everybody all day, every day. And then also just the good content, video content. They got some really good video content.
Yep.
It's a big challenge. It's hard to replicate. Trust me, I'm trying to figure it out every day, coming in a little bit behind the 8 ball. So,
archery is just a hard sport and to televise. I mean, I think if you could figure out a really good way to do outdoor 3D archery and televise it, I think a lot of people would watch it. It's just
it's not a spectator sport.
Right. It's difficult to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of like cross country skiing. Where do you stand? I mean, you got a 2-mile course. I mean, and what do you film? I mean, yeah. So it's very difficult logistically to set up cameras and do that. So, yeah.
And then you got places where they're like at London or at Fort Benning where there's no signal. I mean, you can't get a signal for nothing. So,
yeah.
You're trying to try to stream HD video out of there it's a task.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties don't discriminate.
you come from old school archery. You're in new school archery, and you're flourishing in both. What's the one thing you'd like to see change in arrows, bows, releases, sights, whatever? What, man? This is a pretty open question.
I say it every time I get a new hunting bow. I'm like, how do they? This is the quietest, least amount of shock I've ever had in a bow. How do you beat it? And then they do. I think our next big revolution is going to be out of some type of new composite material. Something's going to come out. Some kind of, it may be an existing composite material in the world, but it's going to come down to the affordable level for the everyday archer, to where, and because there's stuff out there that they could put in bows and make them way better, but then they're going to cost $10,000, and people aren't going to pay that. So to get those composite materials down to an affordable level to where people can do it, then I think that's going to be our next big revolution. And it may come out of an arrow too. It may be a new material with arrows. But what would I like to see as this? I would like to see a hunting bow that you could shoot 340 feet per second at 26.5 inches of draw length.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
And I'm not a speed guy, but it's just, you get that kind of energy. It's
at 60 pounds.
At 60 pounds. Just going to go through some critters.
Yeah.
I love killing stuff. Let's not get it wrong. Let's don't get it twisted. I do all of this archery because I love to go stick arrows in animals.
Yeah.
So it's just that's this time of the year. That's all we're thinking about. Like we're talking about. Me and Chris talk about deer just as much as we do target archery. And then about halfway through the season, when our fingertips are frostbit and we're just chasing the same deer for 2 months, we start talking about target stuff a little bit more. But that's what we're here for to do. Is just I love chasing animals.
I think that's one of the best parts about archery, and some crazy ASA director putting the tournament every weekend sometimes too, is it always is the next one that keeps you excited. Like you could go out and shoot 10 up, or you could shoot 10 down. Maybe it's your day, maybe it's your buddy's day. But about the minute I realize I'm probably not going to, not going to get back to even, or I'm not going to catch that guy, or I'm not going to take first, or maybe it's next week. It's your brain jumps right to it. So, you get the deer killed, boom, it's indoor season, just like instantly.
Yeah.
And same thing from, you go shoot outdoor target. It's like, well, broadhead shoots over, outdoor target's over. It's now officially deer season. So there's always something at full draw that is capturing my attention as far as what to do next. And I have an attention span about that long. So it doesn't take long to get distracted and start thinking about the next one.
I'm never run out of stuff to do.
I'm waiting for this new ASA director to come up with something in the middle of the winter time that no one's ever done. I'm sure he's already thinking, what can we do in January to do 3D?
Me and Haskell are working on the indoor circuit again. He wants it to be out of deer season. He's thinking December, January, February, Missouri, Oklahoma, and somewhere south and west in Texas, like around Houston, somewhere down there.
Oh.
So he's got the Missouri spot. Oklahoma City will be easy. We just need to find somewhere to do a big indoor down there, find a big building, cost effective somewhere far Texas, because we want to expand it out to the southwest. And hopefully we get 3 indoors. I would like to see 2, if not 3 AMAMs. So you get your 6 pro-ams. And it's all going to be dependent on where the ASA changes those pro-ams, because those dates are going to shift. Might have a new venue, and they're moving Vegas. So once
I doubt I'll make Vegas this year. So
we're all going to be 3D. The only reason I go every year is because it's on my anniversary, and we got married in Vegas. So it's easy.
Yeah. I remember.
Oh yeah, it's easy to say, hey, we're going to celebrate our anniversary. By the way, it's the biggest archery.
Taking my bow.
yeah, biggest archery tournament.
Love you, honey, but
yeah. But Dave's going this year, so I'll probably get my arm twisted into it again, I'm sure.
It's just difficult for, again, being I'm primarily a 3D guy. When you move that Vegas shoot on the other side of Foley, I'm at that time my indoor stuff's set to the side. I'm 100% outdoor. That's where my bread is buttered, and that's what I'm going to do. So my plan for this next outdoor or indoor season is I'm going to go to Lancaster, where you have to shoot 3 up in the shoot up to win.
I love Lancaster. I've been there several years, and that has been my go-to shoot for a while. And I've never done Vegas because I do Lancaster. I like the ability, knowing going in, you don't have to be perfect. You can just shoot a few more X's than the next guy because it's worth one more point. That's right. To where in Vegas, if you drop, you're done in that world. In the Vegas world. And for me, I'm an old man. They don't have an amateur class senior.
Really?
Nope. I have to shoot with all you guys that can see real good.
That's not me. I'm 44 now.
That didn't have to get up and go pee 3 times that night. Yes, sir.
The last time you shot in the senior pro division, what place did you come in?
Okay. I knew this was going to be brought up. I don't remember
top
off
10?
The top of my head. Yes.
Top 10 in the senior pro division?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It sounds like we need to be worried about you down in the flight.
So I was going to say. So
no.
Are you sandbagging us?
And anyway, let's get back to 3D.
Yep. Yeah, we're 3D. We're 3D guys. Remember that. We're 3D guys. Quit talking about those indoor stuff.
No. Let's not quit talking about it. Let's just, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, the Metropolis is coming up. That's one of my favorites. I've always loved Metropolis. It's a real fun place to shoot. Always something to do. And if they would just build a building, it would be awesome. But it's always an awesome shoot there. It's the hottest shoot. You're right down on the river. You can cut the humidity with a knife, and you have to actively prepare for that heat and that humidity or you're going to get hurt.
I don't know if it's still in the same spot, but I remember shooting Metropolis back in the early 2000 before I quit shooting. It seemed like it was a very flat ground.
Yep.
Trees like ever 10, 15 foot apart, but it was like, I don't know how to describe it. There wasn't a lot of undergrowth.
The air doesn't move. It gets hot and you roast.
The reason there's no undergrowth is they flood that in the fall and winter for ducks. Yep. So nothing grows.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Okay. And if it rains, it also floods and holds water.
Yeah, if it rains.
Efficiently. It's like they designed it to where every drop of water can be collected. So if it rains, it's bad. And if it doesn't rain and it's hot, it's bad. But while we're on that Metropolis kick, go see Kelly at the mobile IV hydration as soon as you get there, and get that little bag of fluids going in somewhere in your arm or your hand. I went and I got hooked up to it right after I got off the practice range at Paris, or maybe it was after my first round that Saturday, but I felt great. My eyesight got better, hydration got better. It's worth every penny of it. So go see her. They're the absolute nicest people. They're going to be at Metropolis. They're going to be at Coleman. They're going to be at Texas State. They're going to be at Oklahoma State Championship. So y'all use the tools at your disposal to keep yourself not only performing well, but Aaron said it first. He said it's a safety thing. Because last year at Metropolis, there were people getting bust out of there off at least 2 or 3 off of every range just going down. And it can get semi-serious pretty quick.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people realize, just especially once you get sweating, how that affects you and how you shoot a bow. It can be the difference between well hydrated and dehydrated is night and day difference in your aiming. And it's the secret's kind of out now, but me and Chris used to always get IVs before we'd go to a pro-am. So we'd go get a big 1,000 milliliter IV, and then we'd show up to the pro-am just as hydrated as our body could be, and try to carry that through the weekend. And we're drinking Pedialytes and we're drinking liquid IVs, whatever we can do to make sure our body's not drying out.
Oh yeah.
So, but yes, that secret got out, and now someone bought a trailer and they're doing that. And she is awesome. I can't remember her name. What was her name?
Kelly White.
I stumbled across it at Foley this year, and I actually got a bag from her. I got a 500 milliliter bag from her in Foley this year.
Boy, they sure changed the meaning of what getting a bag is.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just my age. I'm 44 now. It's a big difference now.
I was gonna say. I mean, if you know your sense, I got heat stroke when I was a little kid, and it kind of hits a little different. And we're out there all June. We're out there all July, all the way into August, and it is worth every penny if you can stop yourself from going down, because it hits you harder and harder and faster as you get older. So once you get heat stroke,
once you get a heat stroke, now the next time you're going to get it hits a little earlier, and like every time you get it, it gets easier and easier to get. So once you, and that's not a feeling you ever want to have. I got it once. Actually, I got it at a shoot here in Oklahoma. Went out to a bachelor party and then went and shot the next day in 112-degree heat, and it was not a good idea. And I got a little heat stroke, and it was just the next day. I was like, I'm just out weed eating grass, and I'm like, I feel like I did yesterday, and it was just, you have to really, really pay attention to it. It's dangerous. So, but I agree with you. Yeah, go get an IV bag. If you're used to getting that kind of stuff, she rammed that one to me in about 20 minutes. If you're not used to getting that kind of stuff, then it's going to take like 30 or 40 minutes. So
just remember, it's Mountain Dew green when it goes in. It's Mountain Dew green when it comes out. Don't have a heart attack.
Yep.
That first trip to the Portage-on, You might.
It may glow in the dark, but it's okay.
It's okay. It's good for you. No, the craziest thing was my eyes were I could read the plates on the truck 120 yards away,
Yeah.
and like I've got contacts in every day, and they got so much better. You don't realize how better your eyes are. I could see every ring. Now I couldn't shoot them, but I could sure see them as my arrows sailed low, high, left, and right. So
yeah. No, that's definitely a big deal. And then because we're getting into the hard stuff now. I mean, this is the Ryan's. That was the hottest one I've been to so far this year. And I think it wasn't so much that it was the hottest one, as that it was the hottest one because 75% of the targets, the shooter was in open sunlight.
Yeah, you got in the
really
shade.
couldn't hide.
Yeah,
you couldn't hide from it.
Yeah.
And you could tell the hotter and hotter it got through the day, you'd see the groups. They're standing 10 yards back from the stake in the wood line because they didn't want to stand out in the sun anymore. So
yeah.
And it's a time of the year to where everybody has slowly perfected the craft, and you're telling yourself, man, I know I got to be there. I got to be. We're coming into that time of the frame to where now we're not practicing. It's game time.
Yeah. You're in the shooter of the year race right now.
Yeah.
You're in your SAL race. So the classes that have enough shooters, that's a big deal. And if you want to compete, that is an excellent way to compete as a weekend over weekend. That was one of my favorite things to do or to keep track of and see who I'm beating, who I'm not. You brought up Sean. My open B year, that I was leading him by 2 points in the shooter of the year. And then he come to the state shoot and whipped my butt and beat me by 4 points. And then also won the state championship. So it was a double kick. But I've shot around Sean for a while, and he's another super good dude and love him to death. But I'll never forgive him for taking both of those buckles away from me.
You need to come out and win you a new buckle. We're gonna have some pretty fancy ones this year. It'll be a little step up from what's previously been circulating.
Well, if you put a buckle on the line, apparently that's where I falter. I can't win a buckle to save my life. Any of the buckle shoots, I can't get a first place. I've taken second place at the Archers for Christ buckle shoot like 6 times. I can't win it. I've taken second at the Pro-Am that we used to have in Paris and can't win it there. But it's just a buckle is my Achilles heel, I think. I think it's just because I put so much value on it. It's a head thing.
It's a representation of success.
We're going to do a GoFundMe account and buy Aaron a buckle.
Well, I may take that back. I've got one buckle, and I won it. I don't know if y'all remember the deal. It was called Regions, where the
Center 11.
Scoring. Well, the lower 12 and the center 11 were always in play. Unless you called the upper, then the upper was in play, and the center 11 was still in play.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was goofy scoring.
11 instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, that was my open B times, and it was like I just aimed center 11, and if I fell, I got a 12. If I didn't, I got an 11. I won the state championship, and then I got a buckle there. That's the only buckle I have, and I was so proud of it. I wore it for 2 years.
So, what's the best advice you could give somebody that's brand new? And like I'll say I got a buddy from high school. His name's Casey. And he went into the aero shop and saw Miles. He said, I need a new hobby and some new friends. I said, oh, I got you, bud. I got you. Come on in. The water's fine. And he bought a bow about 2 weeks ago. And this past weekend, he took it out to his first ever archery event first tournament ever, and shot the qualifier at Odd Vein Out in Chelsea, and got second place. But put him in men's pins 30. Hit every target. I mean, we didn't shoot an 8 until like target number 7 or 8.
Oh, awesome.
Went out there all 10s and 12s for the first third of it. And what would you tell somebody that's new to 3D archery on how to enjoy it in the entry level and how to progress?
Well, the biggest thing is just don't put too much pressure on yourself. You're out there to have fun. And then when you see these other guys that do have a little bit of knowledge, have been around for a little while, don't be scared to ask questions. I guarantee you, anybody that I know in my shooter group or in my friends group, or not even necessarily in my friends group that I'm friends with in ASA, I don't know any of them that would shy you away for asking a question. We love hearing ourselves talk about archery, so we're going to sit there and we're going to just go into it and just give you way more than you asked for. But yeah, don't be scared to ask questions, and just have fun. And I guarantee you're going to make friends that you'll have the rest of your life. The friends I've made out of archery now, and we've actually said this: if I didn't fire another arrow target, I would still talk to these guys every day. We would still go hunt together. We would still all be great friends. And it's just hard to find that anywhere else. So yeah, just ask questions, have fun, and I don't know, bring lots of arrows, because I'm not as lucky as your friend. The first time I ever shot 3D, I got about 8 targets in. I was out of arrows. So it was I got started in it because I got tired of missing deer. I started when I was 12 and started deer hunting when I was 12 and started shooting competitive 3D. I say competitive. I was shooting 3D targets when I was 14. And so, yeah, but I didn't even make it all the way through my round. I had to go to Walmart and go get more arrows and come back and finish.
True flight arrows.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Neil, what other shoots you got coming up here that we can get thrown in?
Oh boy, we got this weekend in Enid, Oklahoma. The Archery Tech Center is having an ASA qualifier. They are our brand new club. They got about 240 acres and really good older club in Enid that had kind of folded about 5 or 6 years ago. They got all those guys back and gave them more land and got the same targets there. So it's going to be at the Tech Center. That's Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, starting at, I think, 4, might be 3 p.m., Oakeyland is having their This Ain't Vegas Jackpot Championship. So the top 8 seeded that made shoot-offs will all go. Everybody else shoots a full 300 Vegas round. Top 2 make it to the shoot up. 12 ring will be in play once the shoot up goes. So everybody come out to that. It's going to be a great indoor event because I know Dave just put his indoor bow right back together in the middle.
I'm going to be McAllister.
Oh, that's right.
We got state outdoor.
Yep. We also have this weekend in McAllister the state U.S. Archery 720 round. So that's at 50 meters, so 55.5 yards. Bows on that one specifically, bows under 60 pounds, no lights, no arrows bigger than a 23. It's U.S. Archery rules. If everybody hadn't done one of those, you got some hoops to jump through. Next weekend, the 22nd and 3rd, I believe, of June, Haskell's at Choctaw is having their ASA qualifier. That'll be our last ASA qualifier in Oklahoma. So that's your last chance to qualify before state. If you're up around Aaron, there's the state OSAA unmarked 3D championship at Wagner Archery. So go see my buddy Roger Hayes up there. Ask him. I'll tell you a bunch of stories about me when I was little. And he'd probably follow you around the whole day on the side-by-side and, telling dirty lies about me. Stuff I never did. And I don't know after that. After that, we're in Metropolis, I think, at the end of June. So you got 2 more chances at the ASA. You got an indoor shoot. You got an outdoor shoot. There's something for everybody over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll get into July and start talking about the state championships and stuff like that. But everybody out there, we've got Oklahoma Archery Podcast T-shirts. Yes, I do wear this around all day in my own house for no one to see because I like them a lot. We'll put there's been a couple posts about the website. You can get those. We had these made. We got a local lady that's gonna, she can also make you some custom ones. If you want one in pink or something like that, or you want a different color, or you want a V-neck, just let her know. She can do them custom, but we got some pre-made ones up there. we're probably going to have some hats soon. So go check those out on the page. The website's called Barbed Wire and Grace. So that's one of our local shooters. His mom has a t-shirt embroidery business kind of thing. So we want to support them. If you want some official podcast gear, that'd be the place to find it. What else we got, Dave? Did I forget any shoots coming up?
Not that I can think of. Aaron, we want to do due diligence for you. Do you have a Facebook athletic page? And please sound out any sponsorships.
I don't have an athletics page. I just have my personal page. I got a Facebook personal page, just Aaron Glass, and then Instagram, which is aglass100, I believe.
What's the page or link for the OnlyFans?
Well, I can't give that out on here.
Sponsorships?
So I am proudly on Mathews staff. I'm then True Ball XL, Easton, actually, and Shrewd. That's the only ones I'm actually truly on staff. So.
Congratulations on that, because there's people that are striving for those right there, and you've got some top people in the industry supporting you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really blessed to have been on. I've been on Mathews' staff now for 5 years. It's it's a blessing. I love the company. I even if I didn't shoot for them, I'd still shoot their equipment. So I have since 2001. So it's I just like the way they handle themselves and do their business. So
fair enough. That's good.
He's truly loyal. I even wore the yellow and black today just for Aaron, just to play along.
Yeah, they give me a little bit of hell because I even color coordinate my shoes black and yellow, and you name it, I've got it in black and yellow.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, that's all I've got, gentlemen. I appreciate the time this evening. Neil, appreciate it. Mr. Glass, look forward to seeing you this indoor season.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
You bet.
All right.